games. All right. Third time's a charm for today. So let's go ahead and get started with chapter 4. I don't promise to be able to do this for every single chapter, but I've got some time today. It's working out, and I'm excited to do it. So first big thing is that you notice on page 33, the first paragraph there, it says, as the year passed, released from school 30 minutes before Gem, blah, blah, blah. What's interesting to me is that in just, one chapter, we skip almost an entire year. What happened that year? School. What is not talked about at all? School. That should tell you something about not only Scout's perspective on the education system she's in, but I kind of wonder what Harper Lee thinks about the education system of the day, if there's not even anything worth talking about. So I just wonder, why is that? What's going on? Anyway, not going to spend too much time on that, but middle of page 33, Scout's walking home, and she sees some tinfoil was sticking in a knothole just above my eye level, winking at me in the afternoon sun. I stood on tiptoe, hastily looked around once more, reached into the hole, and withdrew 2 pieces of chewing gum, minus their outer wrappers. Basically, it means there was gum in the tree. So I know that there's no gum in this picture, but this would be like the knothole in the tree there. And she sees 2 pieces of unwrapped gum, just gum there, no wrapper or anything, and she takes them. What I remember is on page 23, where Walter Cunningham talked about how he ate the pecans that fell from the Radley tree, and they poisoned him. They pizened him, he says. They poisoned him, and he got really sick, and he almost died. And yet here's Scout taking gum out of the tree. She can't help herself. She smells it. She licks it. And she thinks she's okay, so she eats the gum. Jem comes home and goes, "What are you eating?" "Spit that out, Scout," he says. "Spit that out. Don't you know it's poisoned? You're going to die." Later on, page 34, they're walking by the tree again, and Jem says, "I see it, Scout, I see it." Jem looked around, reached up, and gingerly pocketed a tiny, shiny package. We ran home, and on the front porch, we looked at a small box patchworked with bits of tinfoil collected from chewing gum wrappers. It was the kind of box wedding rings came in, purple velvet with a minute catch. Jem flicked open the tiny catch. Inside were 2 scrubbed and polished pennies, one on top of the other. "Indian heads," he said. 1906. And Scout, one of them's 1900. These are real old. So I'm not going to talk too much about this. I'm just going to point these out. They become important a little bit later on. But just remember that they have found these treasures in the knothole of the tree. And that the front cover of our book has that picture. All right. They go on. They talk a little bit about the neighbors. And then on page 36, Dill comes. Pay attention to what Dill says, because Dill says that Dill's father was taller than ours, and he had a black beard, and it was pointed, and that his father was the president of the L&N Railroad. And if you know anything of railroads at the time, to be president of an organization like that would be big-time power, big-time authority, big-time money. To be president of the railroad, that'd be a big, big deal. But what did Dill say about his dad earlier in the book? You might want to look that up. That one's on page 8. All right. So kind of moving right along. They roll Scout in a tire. Remember, they're kids. It's the summer, and this is the 1930s, and so they didn't have video games. There's an old tire, and Scout crouches up into the tire, like we're thinking, like I don't know, an old car tire, been about this big. She's able to crouch up into this tire, and they roll the tire. And so Scout is rolling down the street, and Jem is pushing her, and Dill's pushing her, and he pushes her, and she rolls and she rolls and she rolls right into the yard of the Radley's house. And there she falls in the Radley's yard. "Get out of there, Scout! Get out of there!" Jem yells. And so she runs out. Anyway, that was an exciting scene. Moving on through the chapter, the kids start to play Boo Radley in their make-believe. They are They are playing Boo Radley. And then that brings us up to page 41, the very end of the chapter.
Raphael.
Shh. Atticus's arrival was the second reason I wanted to quit the game. The first reason happened the day I rolled into the Radley front yard. Through all the head shaking, quelling of nausea, and Jem yelling, I had heard another sound. So low I could not have heard it from the sidewalk. Someone inside was laughing. So we don't know who was inside, and we don't know why they were laughing, or even what kind of laughing it was. But a critical reader recognizes that this Radley house that was described as being so scary early in the story, and that they kill people, but Jem has touched the house. They've eaten gum out of the tree. They've gotten pennies out of the tree. And yet here Scout says she heard someone laughing when, frankly, she did something kind of funny and kind of cute in that childish way. So something to think about. All right. Hopefully I'll get a chance to come back for chapter 5 here pretty soon. Till then, keep reading, and I hope you are enjoying the story.